Coming to you from the dining room table at East Barbary Lane, welcome to a new episode of Full Circle, the podcast. A visit to our home where we squeeze a few headlines through our decidedly queer lens and see what happens. This last episode of Season 2 is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and hours of editing.
I am your host, Charles Tyson Jr.
And I'm your host, Martha Madrigal. Welcome to the Full Circle table. Enjoy a bit of every show from Season 2. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and Peanut Butter Cookies. So, Tennessee issues a trans healthcare ban and the nation's first drag ban.
Yeah, this was a big one.
Yeah,
News this week.
The lawsuits have probably already started.
Yeah.
You know, this should be really interesting in Nashville. I already saw there's a big benefit concert coming up in Nashville where a whole lot of artists are getting together, you know, to fund and support, you know, places like Tennessee Equality.
Right.
At all. And the queer organizations there. Because this is absurd.
It is. And nothing actually has to change in terms of, you know, the drag performances because of the wording of the law. It's the fact that it's on paper that is the problem. The fact that they're paying this much attention and signing it into law, because the wording of the law, it bans, quote, male or female impersonators who provide entertainment that appeals to a prurient interest from appearing on public property or in a location where the adult cabaret performance could be viewed by a person who is not an adult.
Right, but they can decide to call anything whatever they want to. So they can say because there's a drag queen, that makes it, which is what they're trying to do, an adult cabaret performance, even if you're talking about a very silly, completely covered up costume and a drag queen reading a fun, age-appropriate story to a child, they can call it that and arrest people because of it. Like, I mean, that's the problem here. Apparently, we've done nothing to learn queer history. Obviously, we don't cotton to this stuff, boys. It's supposed to take effect later this year. The ACLU of Tennessee is promising lawsuits. Yeah, if it is ever used to punish a drag performer or shut down a family-friendly LGBTQ event, because that's the thing. We have families at Pride.
Yeah.
We have events.
More than ever.
Centered around children, completely appropriately.
Yeah.
At Pride. And are they going to send the cops in? Is that what they're going to do?
Right. Yeah, because like the big thing now we're seeing with a bunch of the queens is they're writing children's books that they then can go and read to the kids. It becomes like a little packaged thing, and I love it. But
you know, the ACLU did put out a statement. They noted that the law bans performances that are, quote, harmful to minors.
Right. This is where I was going.
But yeah, the legal definition for harmful to minors in Tennessee is very narrow and only covers, because, you know, it doesn't include underage marriage to your cousin. It's very narrow and only covers extreme sexual or violent content with no artistic value. Drag performances do not inherently fall into this category and are protected by the First Amendment. But why they're doing this or signing, like, everything's fine in Tennessee.
I was getting ready to say, this is where our energy needs to
Dolly
be.
Parton can close her pocketbook now?
Right.
Because everybody's smart, everybody fed, everybody good,
Right.
everybody's got health care.
Yep.
Yeah? Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and Staying Inside on St. Patrick's Day. It's amateur night.
President Biden recalled his first experience with gay people when he saw two men kissing on the street back in the 1950s. He said he was in his senior year in high school at the time. His dad took him to City Hall to pick up a job application to be a lifeguard at a pool in Wilmington, Delaware. Mm-hmm. He said, "My dad was dropping me off to go in and get an application. I remember I'm about to get out of the car and I look to my right. Two well-dressed men in suits kissed each other. I'll never forget it. I turned and looked to my dad. He said, Joey, it's simple. They love each other. I'm not joking. It's just that simple. Now, sweet story.
Uh-huh.
The message is great.
Uh-huh.
My question is, did you
Did he what?
see two men in broad daylight in the 1950s in suits kissing each other? Because my first thought was, is this a corn pop situation?
Some of us are bold. Some of us get a little lost, in the moment.
I'd like to think that that's a true story.
I mean, maybe they were, parked not out on the main street, but like in one of the side streets, and the men didn't realize that, they were in view. It probably wasn't, a long kiss, but why? So you're saying he made it up for effect?
That just struck me. It's like, it's the whole scenario. Two men, daylight, wearing suits, which means they had, well-paying jobs in the 1950s.
Well, it means they had jobs in the 1950s anywhere. I mean, anywhere that was like white collar, anywhere that was in an office, they could have been clerks, but they would have been in a suit.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I want to believe that story is true. I do.
Well, then.
I just remember the corn pop story. That's all.
What corn pop?
When Joe Biden was talking about his friend Corn Pop, who was back in the day, and he was he was like into some shady stuff, but he was a good guy, and come to find out there was no dude named Corn Pop. He made that whole thing up for the effect of the story.
Really?
Yeah, you don't remember this?
No.
This is when he was campaigning.
No.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I want this to be true. Because the message is good.
I mean, he's 80 years old. It's possible that, I don't know. I don't know that he's intentionally lying. I don't know,
The overall point and the reason why this isn't good news is because our sitting president is sitting and telling this story. So true or not, the message is there and relevant. But my little eyebrow went up, and
I mean, Wilmington was the city. If it was going to happen anywhere in Delaware, probably that's where it would happen.
Okay.
If anywhere. I mean, that would not have been a common occurrence in the 50s, of course.
Right. And then his father's answer was just a little too perfect. I don't know.
I mean, it's through the filter of 70 years.
True.
Or 65 years or whatever. So
I skeptically hopeful.
His father probably said, "Them faggots love each other. It's okay."
Right.
Like, I mean, it was probably
that part.
Yeah, there was probably a piece of it that he may have edited out.
That's all I'm saying.
Because it was the 50s.
I think we might have shaded some of the details for the purpose of the overall point. Christopher Rice is in the house. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I always thought I knew what was going to happen, and I was always wrong. I was sitting on the couch next to my fiance while I was reading the book, and at one point I just went, "Oh God!" And she goes, "What?" And I said, "The twist that I was afraid was going to happen just happened." And then 5 minutes later, I was like, "Whew! Now what?" I was wrong.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about too, and that was deliberate. I was manipulating the reader, which is
you got me. You got me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I said that. I was like, he did that on purpose, son of a
bitch. I did.
I love it. I love it. So this book is written under the nom de plume of C. Travis Rice. Mm-hmm. So what are the styles of C. Travis Rice and Christopher Rice? How are they contrasting?
Well, the C. Travis Rice is going to be a romance novel. They're going to end up together, happily ever after. It's going to keep the promises that romance novels make to the reader. There's a difference between a love story and a romance novel. A love story may not end happily. It may be tragic. But a romance novel says, I'm going to give you a hopeful ending. And so if the blues and the pastels on the cover don't clue you into that it's going to be a different experience from most other Christopher Rice novels, hopefully the acknowledged pen name, as I call it, does. Because I think that was really important. The thing I didn't want the pen name to do was to imply that there was any secrecy or shame around writing something this erotic or spicy, as the kids say.
Right.
But also, or the romance genre in general, or the sexuality of the characters. I didn't want there to be any implication that that was the problem, but I did want to be clear with readers that you should not go in expecting the same experience you've gotten out of, say, a psychological thriller I've written or a horror novel that I've written.
This episode is brought to you by pollen and the letter Q.
So Jennifer Aniston basically is saying that comedians have it hard now because you have to be very careful. And this is on the heels of a discussion about how kids these days don't want to watch Friends because they find the show offensive.
Okay.
Well, my whole thing was, why are you assuming that there weren't those of us who found it offensive the first go round, and that's why we didn't watch the shit in the first place?
Well,
you know, starting with the fact that you live in New York and you ain't got no black friends.
it was quite white,
Yes.
was it not?
Yeah.
Is that the primary?
Well, that plus all of the homophobic jokes that were made.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that was more to my point.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, it's there. And Kathleen Turner, right? Was it
Oh,
Kathleen
yeah.
Turner?
Oh,
Played Chandler's mom.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I think.
Chandler's trans mom, yeah.
Trans mom, yeah.
Yeah. So you go from having a cis male actor and to a cis female actor playing the part.
A cis male.
His father transitioned
Right.
to Kathleen Turner.
Correct.
Right.
Did we ever show the father before transition? I don't remember.
That's what I read, that it was a cis male actor.
Oh, that's right. So Morgan Fairchild didn't Morgan Fairchild play Chandler's birth mother?
Now you asking questions. I just said I didn't watch that bullshit.
I believe. But Kathleen Turner played, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So.
His bio father who did transition. And so, yeah, a cis woman played the role.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of people found it problematic. A lot of people, you know, it was a very white show.
Right.
It was very popular among the whites.
Right.
Just, you know, it was.
And it's this whole thing about,
and the straights.
Right. The argument like, you know, back in the day you could make these jokes and people weren't so easily offended. No, motherfucker, it was offensive then. There were plenty of us that had shit to say about it then, except we didn't have social media. So you weren't privy to it because you weren't listening to black people or queer people in your lily white towers or wherever the fuck you live, that you're not listening to people's voices other than your own. So don't think that all of a sudden people are deciding to be, you know, to have feelings about shit. No, the feelings were always there. You just didn't give a fuck. And now you have to give a fuck because we have a voice that is more public now. So.
This is interesting.
Sorry, I had a moment there.
That's all right. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and the crucified children being ignored everywhere in these divided states.
They're trying to say that gaydar isn't a thing, I think.
Well, the author was Fabio Fasoli from the University of Surrey in England. He took about 130 participants and played audio recordings of other people. He then asked the people to say whether they thought the speakers were gay or heterosexual. In a second study, rather than a binary gay-straight choice, he asked participants to rate speakers on a Kinsey-like scale. So this is just an audio thing.
Right.
And gaydar is so much more than that.
Thank you.
You're very good at it.
I've never been wrong. Sometimes it's the long game.
Sometimes it is because there are those for whom you go, he might not be gay, but he ain't straight.
Right.
Like, or she, you're generally so spot on with your read, and it's just like straight, right? And you go, yeah, straight.
Right.
It's kind of a fun game that we do play. I've rarely been surprised, and a lot of people have come out to me.
Right.
But I've rarely been like shocked.
I know, it's never been like, you? Never.
You?
Never.
You? Not you. Yeah, I don't think in fact, I'm not sure that's ever happened.
No.
No, I'm like, yeah, okay, good.
But yeah, mine is very, finely tuned.
I think so.
I can clock family from across the street, 2 blocks away at age 2. Like, I got you.
This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and Azaleas in Blue.
We can skip this next one if you really want to.
That's up to you. Why is it there?
Because I wanted to make fun of it, but now I don't even care that much.
Okay.
Yeah, like someone tried to say Lil Nas X wasn't gay because
he's gay.
Because he allegedly wasn't gay in high school. It's like, you never heard of being in the closet?
Mm-hmm.
And my whole thing when I read it was, you gonna fuck around and make him like suck a dick on Twitter or something. And then I was like, wait, now I don't know who to root for.
Right. Exactly.
And that's really the long and short of the story. Coming to you from the dining room table at East Barbary Lane, welcome to a special mini-sode of Full Circle, the podcast. This episode is brought to you by Lukewarm Espresso and your faves missing blue checkmark. Twitter apparently has quietly reversed its policies that now allow for intentional dead naming and misgendering. There was a section in their hateful conduct policy that goes back to 2018 that suddenly disappeared. The section protected transgender people from misgendering and dead naming. The language says, we prohibit targeting others with repeated slurs, tropes, or other content that intends to degrade or reinforce negative or harmful stereotypes about a protected category. This includes targeted misgendering or dead naming of transgender individuals. So that last sentence has now been removed as of April. GLAAD were the ones that pointed it out. So, you don't get to... So basically, Twitter is really trying to strip away everyone's identity and bring back bullying, like sanctioned bullying. The reasons to get and stay off of Twitter are stacking up. And, again, if we didn't use it to promote this podcast, I would have dropped it a long time ago. Same with Facebook. Again, social media ain't real. Call your friends. How about texting them? Maybe read a book. I don't know. I'm feeling very grumpy these days about social media and the way people choose to interact, because it's all these people that have all this mouth online, but then you get them face to face and, they get all tongue tied and all of a sudden they lack the courage of their convictions. So, I'm sick of cowards. I'm sick of stupid people. And that's another thing. If you're going to talk shit on social media, can you at least learn how to spell, you illiterate fuck? I'm sick of everything and everyone. Y'all caught me on a day.
Please welcome Dr. Susan Stryker to the Full Circle table. Hello, Susan.
Hey.
How are you?
Hello, Martha. I'm doing well. Yeah, so if as a historian I'm using names or words that, people today go like, that's not how we say things. It's like, absolutely right.
Right.
And also, to say when Louise Lawrence would say things like, I am a permanent transvestite, it's like, well, the word transsexual had not been coined or transgender was not in use. And so, like as you said, language evolves.
Right. And the person that comes to mind often is Marsha P. Johnson.
Yeah. Well, we use the word, you mentioned my film Screaming Queens.
Yes.
It's like we used the word queen rather deliberately because that was the word that people used about themselves. It's like, and queen, some queens were women and some queens were men.
Right.
It's like it was a complicated category. It could be people who identified as trans women and hadn't had a chance to, fully actualize themselves yet. Like maybe they were, working in the street-based economies to try to like make their surgery and hormone money. Maybe they were guys who just, tricked in women's clothing. Maybe they were people who never intended to transition and they were living exactly how they wanted to live, as a trans feminine person. So, but the word queen was the word that described that entire group of people, usually who were involved in some street culture of some kind.
This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and the opposite schedules that recital season brings.
And here's
Good.
the other thing that I included
We'll find
with
another
this story.
song. We're good at that.
Exactly. That pissed me off with the whole D. Snyder thing. So he claimed to be an ally of the community this whole time. Once again,
I want to see this contortion.
Once again, if you aren't called an ally and you are referring to yourself as one, you probably ain't, or at least not to the degree you think you are. So he comes back with, I was not aware the transgender community expects fealty and total agreement with all their beliefs, and any variation or deviation is considered transphobic.
Oh, your feelings are hurt.
Right. So my lifetime.
So attack us.
Right. So my lifetime of supporting the transgender community's right to identify as they want and honoring whatever changes they may make and how they present themselves to the world isn't enough. Why not? So
now he's going to get mad at us and I guess withdraw his support, right?
Right.
Because we're inconvenient and we're not the good ones that he thought we were. What?
Exactly.
What?
You're not supposed to be, if you are really an ally, you're not doing it performatively, but B,
yeah, I guess
so
it wasn't
what?
enough, D.
So what you
I guess it wasn't.
So what you decide that you're supportive, that doesn't mean that we have to want your support, like you want you. That doesn't, if you're supposed to do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you want, something in reciprocation. So what? You get your feelings hurt, so therefore you're going to take your ball and go home? Well, I guess you weren't an ally in the first place. Fuck you, D. Snyder. You had one damn hit. One. And we don't even want it anymore. So now you're useless. Go away.
Yeah. They decided to part ways. Why did the San Francisco Gay Pride Parade invite me, D. Snyder, to be a grand marshal in their parade and sing "We're Not Gonna Take It" on the center stage at what could possibly be the most important LGBTQIA+ gathering in the organization's long history? The rocker wrote in a statement posted on Facebook on Friday, March 5th. And San Francisco Pride revealed the organization was on the cusp of announcing the hit as the rallying cry, "We're not going to take it," of this year's celebration, but they decided instead to part ways with D. Snyder over this nonsense because it matters, right?
It's not going to be any less important because you're not there.
Yeah, and if you don't get it, that's the why, because you just don't get it.
Right. From the world of comics and comic adventures, we have Bijan Aga, who is the creator of a wonderful independent comic. And I'm just going to let her talk about it because it's fascinating. Bijan, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I grew up reading all these stories about white people, about straight people.
Right.
And wouldn't it be great if I could see a character like me? Now, the closest we had come is Kamala Khan from Marvel.
Yes.
Who's Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
I love Miss Marvel.
So do I.
But I also feel conflicted about the fact that she's very straight and she is not a hijabi. And most Muslim women wear scarves.
Right.
So it felt like we were missing a lot of the representation for most of the Muslim women. And not just Muslim women, 1/3 of women worldwide cover their hair in some way.
True. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's not just Muslim women. We have Orthodox women. We have Russian women. We have Japanese women and Chinese women who cover their hair every day, and they deserve to be represented in superheroes just as much. So I thought of the idea of her naming her Cobra after my aunt, because my aunt in Iran is named Cobra, and so I came up with the idea of creating this character called Cobra Olympus. She's mixed race. Thank you. She's mixed race, just like me. She is unapologetically feminine. She does not aspire to be masculine or have a masculine energy. She's not macho. She is very into feminine things and being girly, but she also is a gymnast and an athlete and a martial artist. and she can bring a feminine energy to all of these things. So she gets these messages from the future, from the superhero, the time travelers that we talked about. She gets these messages from the future, and they give her technology and tools, and she has to go out and fight these vampires and the monsters that these vampires create so that she can create a better future for her and people like her.
This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and all the folks who wished me a happy Mother's Day. Unironically.
Bob Huggins was on some radio show, and he basically said some ridiculous shit that doesn't make any sense. Something about sex toys, and he said Catholic faggots doing what they do. Something.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it was a whole thing. I read what he said. It didn't actually make sense.
He was suspended for 3 games. He has had his salary reduced by $1 million a year.
That part.
And given a 3-game suspension, and will be required to participate in sensitivity training following his abhorrent comments made while appearing on a Cincinnati radio show on Monday. So this was swift.
Yeah.
Within a week,
Yep.
These consequences happened.
And the reason why I put this in good news was because, you know what? Repercussions. And getting docked $1 million, I don't care how much you actually have, you feel that.
Yeah, I mean, the president of West Virginia University, E. Gordon Gee, G-E-E, described the longtime Mountaineers coach's language as inexcusable and offensive. What did he say? Did we get to what he said? I deeply regret my actions. Jesus, what did he say? I regret the embarrassment and disappointment it has caused our athletic family members of our campus community and the state of West Virginia. What the fuck did he say?
Huggins was a guest on the Bill Cunningham show on Cincinnati radio station WLW.
Oh, this already sounds all right-wingy.
Right.
Go ahead.
He discussed his rivalry with Xavier during his time as Cincinnati's coach from 1989 to 2005.
Okay. Xavier or Xavier University?
Xavier. Okay, sure.
Or Xavier. I think they say it Xavier, but
Oh, okay.
I think either.
Apparently the crosstown shootout is some sports thing. I thought it was like a gun violence thing, but apparently it's like, shooting baskets and
Okay, that sounds fun.
So in the article that I'm getting this from,
I want to know what he said.
it just says, they were talking about the rubber sex toys incident in the crosstown shootout. So, but what he said was, Catholics don't do that. I'll tell you what, any school that can throw rubber penises on the floor and then say they didn't do it, by God, they can get away with anything. It was the crosstown shootout. What it was all those faggots, those Catholic faggots, I think. They were envious they didn't have one.
Have one what? Obviously they had many because they threw them on the floor.
Exactly.
They didn't have one what, honey?
So that's what he said.
Wow. I used a completely insensitive and abhorrent phrase that there is simply no excuse for. Yes, you did. I won't try to make one here. Good. I deeply apologize to the individuals I have offended. Well, that would be many. As well as to the Xavier University community, the University of Cincinnati, and West Virginia University.
I'm really very sorry that you took some of my money away, and I am saying this, you don't take any more, because I forget how sensitive you faggots can be. That's basically what he said.
Kind of. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and a blessedly long weekend. Why is the FDA having to warn people to stop drinking poppers?
Because people are too goddamn stupid to leave the house.
So,
Short answer.
So, is it because the bottles are a similar size and shape?
I have not once in my life seen a bottle of poppers and thought, ooh, 5-hour energy drink. And conversely, I have never looked at a bottle of 5-hour energy drink and gone, ooh, poppers. Not one time.
Yeah.
Because they don't tend to sell the two things in the same place that often.
No. And one is, exponentially more expensive.
Yeah. I mean,
But the FDA issued a public warning against drinking poppers, saying many people are mistaking the recreational drug favored by gay men for use during anal sex with the more mainstream energy shots, which come in similar packaging. And I'm reading out of the Advocate, but okay. We continue to receive, this is the quote, reports of people dying or being severely injured after consuming poppers that resemble and often mistaken for popular energy shots. What?
Why are they both in the same pocket?
I don't know.
Or is it...
When you get that anywhere near your mouth, you can smell it. And poppers have a very distinct aroma.
Which is completely different than 5-Hour Energy Drink.
I'm thinking. And yeah.
I've had them before. They're nasty, but they don't smell like poppers.
But poppers, it says poppers and energy shots come in similar bottles, wrappers, and color schemes. Nitrate poppers are a fixture at gay bars, clubs, and sex parties. When inhaled, they provide an immediate, short, and intense high that users say increases sexual arousal and relaxes the sphincter muscles. Yeah. Poppers are sold online and at adult stores under brand names like Jungle Juice. Yeah. Extreme Formula, Hardware, Quicksilver, Super Rush Nail Polish Remover, and Premium Iron Horse. They are also marketed and sold as nail polish removers, solvents, cleaning products, air fresheners, liquid incense, cosmetics, and I believe head cleaners.
Yes.
This is not the first time the FDA has urged the public to just say no to the recreational use of poppers. In 2021, the agency cited numerous health risks when it advised the public to abstain from using poppers.
And that's before folks were drinking them like dumbasses.
These products can result in serious adverse health effects, including death when ingested or inhaled. Really?
Well, because
you can die from inhaling poppers?
Well, yeah, if you snort it.
Right, but just taking a little sniff here and there for fun doesn't, I'm sorry, but I'd be dead.
Because you're also not stupid.
Right, back in the day on the dance floor at Woody's, back in the day when it was a gay bar.
Right.
And I was nowhere near the drinking age. All the men carried poppers. They gave them to you on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first time with them was at a party. It was a gay house party.
Oh, that would work too. But yeah, they used to be on the dance floor at Woody's, and because I was like, "What's that?" And my cousin said, "Just sniff it," and I went, "Ooh, that was fun." Yeah,
But how tempted were you to go? Give me a swig.
No, never.
Yeah,
never. It smells like something you wouldn't drink. I think
it does. And, they put different words on the labels and things.
They do. And again, the little energy shots are like a couple of dollars.
Right.
Right? Or $1. I don't know. What do they cost?
I don't know. I don't remember.
But
way less than poppers.
Right. Poppers are expensive.
You get the 5-Hour Energy drinks at the counter at the 7-Eleven.
Right. I'm confused. I'm very confused.
So, Queens Need to Read is basically the summation of this story.
Poppers are expensive and you shouldn't drink them.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There. We said it.
He is the author of a fabulous new book called Red Clay Susie, and it is the captivating tale of a young boy and his journey through self-discovery in the rural South. And it's a fabulous read, and I am so excited to have the author, Jeffrey Dale Lofton, with us today. Hi, Jeffrey. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this. It's the kind of story one would call a fictionalized memoir, and it is indeed based on my life growing up gay with a significant skeletal deformity in the Deep South, and specifically rural Georgia. And some of the characters are products of my imagination, but the important pivotal characters are inspired by people in my life. And but Ray Clay Susie's protagonist, Philbert, is essentially telling my story. And he, like me, I am obsessed with cars. And it all started with this little Matchbox car. This is a green 1968 Mercury Cougar. And if you know Matchbox
It's real.
cars, it's real. Size of a matchbox. And some of them had moving pieces, a trunk that opens, a hood. This one has doors that open. And I would imagine that this car had wings and was a real live creature, magical creature. And this little car and I flew to places that only existed in my imagination. And it was a salvation of sorts for a really isolated and lonely little boy, because I could escape to places that existed up here. And so, yes, I'm obsessed with cars. To this day, I can catch the slightest glimpse of a fender or a taillight, and I can give you the year, make, and model of that car.
This episode is brought to you by Filtered Water and the best Pride season ever. On Friday, I was delighted to see that Google chose to highlight none other than one of my personal dance idols, Willie Ninja, also known as the godfather of voguing. It was very cool. There was an animated image of him posing and duck walking. And if you clicked it, it took you to a little video that talked about, his influence in ballroom culture and pop culture and mainstream performance. It mentioned, the 33rd anniversary of the film Paris is Burning that brought him to the mainstream consciousness. Willie Ninja was a legend. And, unfortunately we lost him way too young, but his legacy continues. The House of Ninja is still rocking the world with some of the best ballroom performers ever. And his influences lived in my choreography in ways that I probably don't even realize, in addition to the ones that I do. So good job, Google. At least you're doing the Pride thing right. I still haven't forgotten the crappy job you did with Black History Month a few years ago. I believe I talked about it on this show, where on the first day of Black History Month, they chose to highlight Harriet Tubman. And then here I thought it was going to be every day a new formidable figure of Black history, but the next day it was just the Google colors. So the only mention Google gave officially for Black History Month was slavery and Harriet Tubman. So, I believe I called it cultural blue balls. I'll take Willie Ninja. I will happily take that. So thank you, Google, for honoring a powerful figure in queer culture and mainstream culture, because ballroom influences American culture in ways that people don't even realize. All of the slang that white people take from Black folks, a lot of it came from ballroom culture. A lot of the fashion cues, like the way that supermodels walk. Who do you think trained them? Folks from ballroom culture. So everything good comes from ballroom. That has been a saying for years, and I think it's very true.
This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and unapologetic and unruffled queer joy.
Well, you know what I noticed? So whenever someone mispronounces a word while they're talking to you,
it's because they learned it reading.
And they've never heard it spoken aloud.
Exactly.
It's happened to me. It's happened to you. It's happened to all of us.
Oh, yeah. Do you know how long it took me to understand that cacophony and that word that is cacophony were the same word? Or catastrophe. That's a because I thought it was catastrophe. That's what I've read it as catastrophe for years.
Yeah.
And then I went, oh, that's how you spell catastrophe.
Yeah.
There were a few words like that I knew in context, in their literary context, but I just never put the spoken version together.
Right. Well, when I was a kid, I had a problem with bow and bow.
Uh-huh.
Because
why?
because, I would read bow is bow and bow is bow.
Mm-hmm.
And then, eventually, of course.
Dogs don't go bow wow.
Bow whoa.
Bow wow.
But I was very, very proud of myself for figuring out Chihuahua on my own.
Okay, good.
Because I knew
that's one that could be tricky.
I knew the word Chihuahua.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at Chihuahua.
Chihuahua. Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute. That has to be that.
Right. Well, and that's, it's like,
Right, exactly.
I'm trying to think of other words that just did not, I didn't. I'm sure there's a list of them somewhere.
Right.
Of the words that people commonly don't know how to pronounce.
But I feel like that's where this whole rash of people that can't spell worth shit online, it's like they're not reading.
Maybe.
Because I feel like if you write words the way that you hear them spoken, and that's why you're misspelling them, that means you're not a reader. I think it's the inverse of saying words.
But I am not a great speller. And I think it's because I have written so long with spell check that I rely on it heavily.
But you know what the words are when you see them.
I do. Oh yeah, I know what they are when I see them. But when I'm writing, I still misspell words like management. Like I'll try to not put the E in there or something. You know what I mean? Like stupid things like that. I do it all the time.
Right.
So, and I am very much a reader.
But that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things like charcuterie board.
Oh, well, that's just dumb.
That came from someone.
I thought that was intentionally someone being funny.
No, that came from someone.
Really thought it was charcuterie?
Yeah. Like, my baby made me a charcuterie board. No, she didn't, baby. No, that's not what that is. Yeah.
No, that's sad.
Right.
That's another word though that you probably need to hear to know that, but wow. I really did. I thought that was a joke. I thought it had to be.
No. It just became a thing because of the memes that came from
it. Yeah.
It's
absurd.
And now I prefer saying charcuterie board, but
Right. I'm trying to remember who the kid was, but that would go into a restaurant and order chicken parma vagina.
Oh.
Every time. This little kid. A chicken parma vagina.
At least he has the excuse of being a little kid.
It was a little kid. I'm trying to remember whose little kid, but that I found it funny every time I heard it, and I heard it a few times. It took a long time to teach that kid how to say Parmesan.
Right.
Yeah. So there we go.
Reading is fundamental, children.
Reading really is fundamental. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and the implosion of white nationalists across America. Any MAGA fanatic can declare, through some bizarre reasoning, that a person or outfit is promoting woke ideology or even glory holes. The base has been so trained to look for such betrayals from the elite that they have come to expect them. The base has also been trained never to forgive. It's a recipe for an endless feeding frenzy. In a way, it's also a farce, as the fringes push even farther to the fringe. Unfortunately, they are determined to take the entire nation with them.
I'm sorry.
Said.
I'm just picturing like a baseball stadium.
John Gallagher was the author by the way.
And someone like coming down the stands in like a striped jacket and like a toilet seat cocked on one side of his head, screaming, "Glory holes, get your glory holes here." Get them while they're hot. Get them while they're buttered.
And my thing is, I think glory holes are totally a Republican thing.
Okay.
Out gay men don't generally need, unless it's their thing,
right,
a glory hole, because they're actually willing to meet men face to face to negotiate sex. They don't need the anonymity of a glory hole.
Unless they like the anonymity.
Unless that's a thing. Yeah, unless that's their kink. Republicans, on the other hand, You know, the ones who crash Grinder every time, you know,
they come to a town.
They gather in a town. Those motherfuckers, glory holes were designed probably by and for them. Well, no, they were designed, but they have perpetuated them. How's that? How's that? Because I think it's a great way for somebody who's really oral to suck off a bunch of Republicans at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a bookstore in Miami, for instance.
Wow, what a completely random and disconnected metaphor.
I'm not going to go any further. But yeah, that was neither one of us. But
no,
yeah, we
not.
traveled with someone who frequented the local bookstore.
I just have a question.
As a receptacle. What?
What? Facts. I just have a question about glory holes.
What is your question?
When are people installing these glory holes? Like, because you need a piece of equipment to make that big ass hole, especially in public men's rooms where it's like a wood.
Okay, bookstores are built with them.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like
the mall at the mall.
Yes,
I don't know. Somebody had a cordless drill with a hole saw
and nobody
or something and sandpaper.
That.
I hope to smooth the edges.
I'm saying
I don't know.
That's work.
I don't know. Not my thing.
But that's always
never my thing.
That's always been a question. Like the first time I actually saw one in real life in a public men's room, I was like, that required time and silence. Like I hope it's somebody that works there.
I'm sorry. If I happen to be in a stall, first of all, I no longer go into stalls in men's room. But if I happen to be in a stall in like, I don't know, a genderless bathroom, and a penis came at me through a hole in the wall, I'm gonna flick it. I am not gonna lick it. Right? I'm gonna make it sting. Just cause? What are you doing? Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to know you're hard right now? I can disabuse you of that fast. Flick?
No.
Right.
No.
I'm just going to slap that fucker until you go away. I don't know what you think is going to happen, but it won't be that. No, honey. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and an entire 3-day weekend with nowhere to be.
I believe I asked this question before, but it just jumped in my head of you. I believe I asked this question.
Okay.
I wonder how many new glory holes have been installed in the White House since Mike Pence was in there.
Well, he was in the. I mean, I would check the vice president's, residence. Kamala had to have that shit filled in, probably.
Why does this place smell like wood glue?
Right. We're gonna need an entire partition between those two toilets over there. The days of Mike Pence have ended.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
We don't. Yeah. We can put the camera back on that separate entrance. We can get rid of the large Ambien closet for Mother.
Why do I get the idea?
Karen Pence goes to sleep every night at 7:30, whether she wants to or not.
Here's your tea, Mother.
Here's your tea, Mother. I brought you your tea. Mm-hmm.
Why did I just imagine that Mike Pence has a 3-piece suit with a drop seat?
What's that song about? Call Tyrone. Because I'm picturing like he calls Tyrone. That's what happens. You know. Yeah, you can call Tyrone. Yeah, there's so much. The backstory there. Oof, as it were. Oh my. Well, so racism is over because Mike Pence told us it is. Now we know.
And he's not even like mayo on white bread white. He's like plain gelatin.
That's not even a thing. They do like the mayonnaise. They do.
That's what I'm saying. He's more white than that.
It doesn't get any more white than that.
He's aspic.
That was a white thing.
Uh-huh.
But they suspended things in the aspect. Also a white thing.
I was going to say,
I'll
who,
give you that.
Who suspended things in aspic?
White people.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, like sliced olives and halves of boiled eggs and meat.
Yes.
And,
If that Jello, if that like lunch meat Jello mold had a personality, it would be Mike Pence.
Although some of that lunch meat was spicier than he'll ever be. Maybe bologna. Maybe Mother does hers with bologna. I got nothing. But, Mike Pence has declared racism over. Okay. I'll stop fronting when the cops get behind you on the come on now.
Raisins in the potato salad for everyone, y'all.
Right. An underused condiment. I have nothing. Yeah. But he said that shit. Strung all of those words together in public. He did. Yeah. So his 3 white children graduated. Racism is over. Now, 50 years ago, we had a point. Mm-hmm. So all that 2020 bullshit, that was just,
When's the last time you even saw a black person? When he called Tyrone after his wife went to sleep. Well, he didn't see him.
Oh, right, not from behind. Keep my face in the pillow the whole time.
Because he has a 3-piece suit with a drop seat. I have decided that's a thing.
This episode is brought to you by discovering a non-alcoholic beer worth drinking and a summer deluge that nearly drowned the cat. Church law forbids the marriage or ordination of self-avowed practicing homosexuals, but many conservatives have chosen to leave amid a growing defiance of those bans in many U.S. churches and conferences. Many of the departing congregations are joining the Global Methodist Church, a denomination created last year by conservatives breaking from the UMC, while others are going independent or joining different denominations. It's always fun for me to watch because they all say that their theology is impeccable and divine and all that bullshit. And then, but wait, if we ain't hating the faggots properly, we will find a new denomination, and that will be the word of God.
Exactly. Well, my question is, so self-avowed practicing homosexuals, so what about when they're doing it for real? Like, does that change anything?
What about once they're professional homosexuals?
Exactly.
And what if the acclaims are coming from others and they don't have to self-avow? Because they're known throughout the congregation. What then?
That term, that's one of the 2 terms that always cracks me up. Practicing and people that are struggling. It's like, I'm not struggling.
I'm not struggling at all.
I'm good at it, honey.
No struggle here.
I can do it with no hands.
Yes, but not without elbows. She is a dentist and an active member in her local community, but she's also the first trans woman to run for county commissioner in Cumberland County, New Jersey. That's just about 30 minutes south of us. Dr. Joey Perella, welcome to the Full Circle table.
Hi, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Hey, Joey.
Emerge, but Emerge New Jersey specifically is the training that I went through, is a nationwide organization that trains women to run for office, to encourage women to be a part of that political process. There's a focus on that new emerging coalition of Democratic women and equipping us with the skills that we need to be effective in the political sphere, and to know that you can see yourself in that space, and it's okay to want to kind of enter the political arena. You know, I think a lot of times for all types of women, you know, not just trans women, white women, minority women, it's not been normal, quote unquote, to say, to see us engaging in the political process at all levels. And, you know, Emerge hopes to kind of break down those barriers and overcome those biases so that not only do other people maybe stop us from seeking out these positions and engaging in government, but that we stop ourselves from doing it as well. And that was something I had to work on as I was applying to the Emerge program. I was very nervous. And it wasn't a self-doubt from being able to handle the work or knowing how to learn to be a good candidate. It was that self-doubt of, well, am I a woman enough to be in this program? And certainly I think many of us in the trans community, I think, still probably struggle at times with that confidence, especially for me early in my transition. It's hard to kind of want to put myself or push myself into those spaces if I don't feel, if that hand already hasn't been extended, because you're just worried about the potential rejection or not being accepted. And to Emerge's credit, they were fantastic. You know, Jerry, our director for the state, and all the other women that I was in the program with, made me feel right at home the entire time, and, you know, made me feel and seen as much as a woman as everyone else in the program.
This episode is brought to you by a double shot of espresso and 11 years of being queer together.
Because toxic masculinity in the hip hop community is like rampant to the point of ridiculousness.
Like peas and carrots.
You know, it's like, and especially the people in the comments, like the shade room. I had to walk away from the shade room because I got tired of being angry at black folk.
Yeah.
But like, these are the people who, like, the men who won't wash between their ass cheeks because that's gay. Like, that mindset.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
I had a whole discussion with my dental assistant on Friday. You know, in her 50s and divorced, and, you know, we were talking about how the difficult, because I told her it was our anniversary and and we were going to New York later, and she's like, well, and you had just posted, and I was reading the post, and I said, oh, look, and she was like, oh, that's so sweet, and I want to find my person, because you called me your person in the post, and she's like, it's so hard out there, and I said, I have 2 words for you, honey. Bisexual men. Do not pass them over.
I agree.
I said they smell better, better hygiene. They're kinder. It's true. It's all true.
More open to being cultured.
Yeah. More fun. I mean, like, you gotta walk among the Neanderthals.
And we'll touch your boobies.
Exactly. And that. Well, I might add. Yeah, it's the whole thing, you know. She was like, yeah, but I don't, you know, and we had this whole conversation because some dude who was, you know, trying to convince her he went through a phase. And I was like, oh, honey, that wasn't a phase.
Right.
that wasn't a phase. Yeah, that's still present. I said, I'm talking about the ones who will talk to you about.
Right.
The fact. Now somebody who says, yeah, I blew the 7th fleet, but that was just a phase.
It was somewhere around the 72nd dick that I said, maybe this isn't for me.
I decided this was just not for me.
But now the ladies enjoy my trick jaw and trick hip.
Good Lord. No, it's just
tools in my toolbox.
Anyhow, I don't know what but yeah, we had this whole talk about, you know, toxic masculinity and trying to date online and meet people online. And I said, that's how Charles and I got together. I was bemoaning.
Yeah.
what I was meeting, and it was unpleasant.
Yeah.
And 11 years later, here we are.
Here we are.
And thank God you wash your wrists. Thank God.
That never occurred to me.
It never occurred to you not to. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Because that's gay.
Well, then do it more. I mean, whatever. But yeah, that's so ridiculous.
I thought you were supposed to wash your.
Does he never? Does he?
Your ass.
I just want to know: do these men never jerk off?
Right.
Right, because they don't want to touch dick. Do they like never jerk off?
You know.
And how do they
true.
pee?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Just wondering.
Well, there was
because guess what? You having sex with a man.
There was a comedian who did a bit about how he said to his friend how everybody's a little bit gay, and his friend was like, "No, not me." And the guy was like, "Well, when you're watching porn, do you like the guy to have a big dick, or do you want him to have a little tiny dick?" He was like, "No, it's got to be a big, strong, throbbing." Oh my God!
Well,
ta-da! Who is here today is a fabulous musician, artist, individual, good friend, and we are so glad that V. Shane Frederick is in the house with us. Hey, Shane, how you doing?
Yay! What's up? Good morning. How are you?
Sometimes just being an artist is a political stance.
But facts.
Yeah, but I just hate when you're using art to breed negativity. You know, that's just always going to rub me the wrong way.
Yeah. And in a universe where we really create the world with our words and intentions, I'm really cautious about what I want to put out there in this thing.
Right.
And I mean, but it also seems that certain aspects of the industry really promote that negative thing. Like, if you're not negative, you're not going to be popping.
Right. Right.
And I'm never going to be that kind of popping because I want to be the other kind of popping. I don't know.
Yeah, it's feeling good when you listen to music used to be the goal. You know, bringing people together as opposed to, you know, drawing the lines.
Yeah. And I guess that's, maybe that's why I kind of have that throwback energy, that kind of classic but contemporary energy, because I'm still on that. I'm not on the other side of that thing. I want to remind us of how beautiful we are and how, all that other, the schmaltzy, the nice, sweet stuff. That's what I want to remind people of. I'm not really here for the grimy, dirty, as they say, low vibrational energy.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm grateful for that.
This is the Martha Quit Smoking Without a Net episode, brought to you by Day 2 Withdrawal and whatever the hell I say next. 9 a.m. this morning, we were in the reclining seats at the local movie theater to see Barbie.
Yes, we saw the Barbie movie.
We did.
And it was so good.
It really was. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But people whose opinion I respect are telling me how great it is. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, so this is more than just, a fluffy little Mattel movie.
Right.
It is. Really is.
I remember when the press was first coming out with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, when they were, dressed as Barbie and Ken. I was like, there's going to be a Barbie movie. Get the fuck out of here. This is going to be some nonsense. And then in the back of my mind, I was like, unless they do the total like subversive route with it, in which case I could get down with it. And I said, I'm going to wait until it comes out and people have seen it. And then I start getting opinions. And it was exactly that. It was so perfect. Like, it was gender politics 101 for the mass audience. It was beautiful. I was sitting there sobbing repeatedly throughout this film because it was so perfect, and it's funny and it's smart and the casting is fabulous.
It really was. It really was. There is a trans woman playing one of the Barbies.
Yep.
No, nobody makes a big deal out of it, but I believe she's Dr. Barbie.
Yeah, she's the Dr. Barbie.
Or one of the, yeah.
Issa Rae's the president.
Issa Rae's President Barbie, yeah. Fun. I love the way it was done. I don't want to give away too much of the movie, but I love the way that it was constructed.
Yes.
I loved the perspective, which was pretty clear and interesting. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, highly recommend.
I do too. Yeah,
I laughed,
really do.
I cried, I cheered. It was better than Cats.
I laughed. I did not cry. Perhaps but I'm all over the place this week. I mean, it's to try to pay attention, because you asked me what happened in the last minute of the movie because you couldn't wait anymore.
Right.
And had to go pee, and I couldn't. I was like, it ended. That's what I had. I was like, it ended. And then, fortunately, Kathleen, who was with us, was able to detail for you exactly. Yeah. And I was co-signing. I was like, yeah, that is exactly what happened.
I was there for this.
That was the ending of the movie. Yeah, because I just stared blankly. But that's what I'm talking about. I'm really spacey today.
Right.
Just really spacey. And, that started yesterday. And it's just a function of, I don't know, having air in my brain.
Right.
Okay. Oxygen, something. But yeah, this is one of those side effects.
It was a great movie. I highly recommend going to see it.
Now I want to see it twice when I'm a little further along with this whole thing, or I'm smoking again, whichever comes first.
You will be further along in your quitting.
Here's hoping. But I when I'm able to focus a little bit more, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it much.
It was so good. And the Kens were appropriately gay.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Earring Magic Ken made a cameo, which I appreciated because Earring Magic Ken was a whole thing when I came out.
It was just interesting. I really just well done. Worth it. Go see it.
Yeah.
If you're listening to us, you won't be sorry.
Exactly.
You will, I think, enjoy this movie. I didn't expect, I thought it would be, fluffy, but okay.
And it
was more than that, for sure.
It's got Republicans and incels
sure.
flipping their shit.
Oh, I'm sure.
So it's good.
That's what makes it even better.
Exactly.
Yeah, good. This episode is brought to you by the first Lone Red Tomato, still on the vine, and Sunday Shore Traffic in South Jersey. We're finally home, y'all.
So a young dancer, queer black man, named O'Shea Sibley was brutally murdered this past week. 28 years old?
I think so.
So he and his friends this happened in Brooklyn. He and his friends were at a gas station and they were playing Beyonce's album, the Renaissance album. And they were voguing, cutting up to Beyonce. And another group of young men, younger than them,
clearly,
basically came up to them and were calling them all kinds of slurs and telling them to stop dancing, just invading their space and creating hostility. And O'Shea was talking to them, and what ended up happening is he got stabbed in the chest.
Yeah.
That's the long and short of it. These young men were dancing. And some other weak-minded people had a problem with the fact that these gay men were dancing
and expressing joy
and voguing and expressing femininity and joy in femininity. And it was such a problem that they had to introduce a weapon and assault this person
for existing
and take his life for no other reason than existing. You're right. So, this story has taken on a life of its own, and rightly so, because, O'Shea, besides being, by all accounts, a good friend and a loving person, he was a phenomenal dancer. He was in Philadelphia for a while.
As a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's from Philadelphia.
Yeah, which is why I'd heard his name before,
Right.
but I did not know him. And so this story, his loss is felt by his immediate family and friends, obviously, by the dance world, by the ballroom community. People the likes of Laomi have come out publicly honoring him. Beyonce put his name on her website. And I had said this before. I said, this was a bright, shining light. O'Shea was a bright, shining light in this world. And all this punk motherfucker saw was a faggot.
Yep.
And that was enough to take his fucking life.
Yeah. And it happens in it's in an instant. In an instant, a weapon is introduced. Because they were out there having a good time. Because they were out there feeling themselves.
And I
don't know why we keep talking about they were dancing in bathing suits, because I'm not sure how that's relevant, but apparently they were. Good on them. I'll bet they're cute as hell. I know he was.
Yeah.
He was a beautiful, beautiful man.
Well, Otis Pena, who was there and was a good friend of O'Shea's, and Otis went on Facebook Live and said they murdered him because he's gay, because he stood up for his friends. His name was O'Shea, and you all killed him. You all murdered him right in front of me. Otis was the one who was trying to stop the bleeding.
God.
It's just...
Yeah.
And on top of the ridiculousness of seeing men dancing being a fucking threat, I said this to you before. It's like I flash back to that could have been me in my 20s.
Sure.
Because I remember many times, cutting up in the street with the other gay children, and and how many times would have complete fucking strangers come up to me and said, "Stop dancing like that."
Right.
If one of them had decided that what I was doing was enough to cause me harm, I might not be here right now.
Exactly. I mean, you can't help it. You can't help but feel this one, because how many people we know? I mean, like I said, he's once removed. We're not going to claim we knew this young man, just of him.
Right.
But he's once removed, because...
Right.
And
it's insane. And I just...
For dancing.
Right. And what is going on that masculinity is so goddamn fragile?
Right.
That it can be shattered, broken, threatened even by seeing someone fucking dancing.
Right.
Don't like it, keep moving.
I know. Don't even have to look over here.
Because I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If your masculinity is that fucking fragile, that something like this is a threat.
Yeah, causes you to murder.
Right.
Really?
You're not that. It's not that strong. You're not that strong. You're not that big of a man, baby. Sorry about it.
Well, he wasn't a man. He was a boy. 17?
Yeah.
I think.
This is also true.
17. I don't know whose child this is, but wow.
Yeah.
They should be, I guess, especially proud right now, because really, your child has no self-control.
Well, the 17-year-old in question has turned himself in at a Brooklyn station house. His name has not yet been released. I wouldn't say his name here even if it was.
Right.
Like I said, his loss has been felt far and wide. The legendary Kevin Aviance put together a memorial / ball at the same gas station this past weekend.
There's some dancing.
Yeah, and I saw some of the video, and it was interns moving. There was people speaking, and then they were, the kids were cutting up, voguing and dipping and twirling. But what really got me was, listening to the people speaking about, we can't let this go on any further. We can't let this go on any further. And it just made me sad because this is not the 15th time I've heard an anguished black voice making the same plea after something like this.
This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and a counter full of New Jersey produce. Orlando is begging LGBTQ plus people to visit despite DeSantis's laws.
No,
we will not. No. Advocates are split over the city's efforts to bring more LGBTQ plus tourism to a state where queer people are constantly demonized.
Yeah.
It's kind of, if DeSantis had his way, it would be against the law entirely to be queer or trans in Florida.
Uh-huh.
There's a 60-second radio ad trying to convince us to visit Orlando, and it has caused discord among LGBTQ plus advocates. Quote, Orlando, a city that's ready to welcome you just as you are, the ad reportedly proclaims. The possibilities are endless, and there are amazing LGBTQ events for you to experience where everyone is welcome, as long as you don't have to pee.
Oh.
It doesn't say that, I added that.
I know.
And the ad comes from Visit Orlando, Tone Deaf, the city's official tourism association. CEO Cassandra Matej, M-A-T-E-J, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, disputed the fact that the ad is a direct response to the vicious attacks on LGBTQ plus Floridians coming from the elected official. Oh, and then we have no spine. Okay. She claimed the ad is merely part of an inclusion initiative called Orlando for All that began in 2021. We're very proud that we're the #1 visited destination in the U.S., but our board leadership, our team at Visit Orlando, we felt very compelled that we needed to add not only the most visited, but the most welcoming and inclusive. No, you're not. Not anymore. Not because of where you're located. Thank you. Some have slammed the ad for being irresponsible, begging queer people to visit a state that is dangerous for them. Mm-hmm. My jury is still out, but I can't say it's not dangerous. That's my point.
Right.
That's my point. I can't promise you're safe in Orlando. I don't know.
And
I don't know. And it's because of the people that hear this shit from their governor and their state legislators. Mm-hmm. And they hear this shit constantly, this barrage of groomer. And you're not safe in a bathroom and all this horse shit. And none of us know what exactly comes of that. So, yes, be on high alert if you're in Orlando. And no one can promise you, unless you're like within an organization that has stated clear policies and the bathrooms are clearly marked and people are going to be arrested on site, for causing problems. I'm staying out of Florida.
You know what it feels like? It feels like if a sundown town were to run ads telling black people about all the fabulous nightlife.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yes, that is exactly right.
No, thank you.
Right.
I'm good.
Come for the daylight and then enjoy your hotel room by 7.
Not 7:01, bitch. In fact, let's just say 6:58.
Right? Just to be safe.
This episode is brought to you by freshly brewed tea sipped from a white tears mug. Sounds poetic, doesn't it? This just made me giggle and cackle to myself. Fire Festival 2 has begun to sell tickets, and those tickets are selling out. For those of you not familiar with Fire Fest, in 2017, a young grifter named Billy McFarland launched this massive scam called Firefest, where basically he was using celebrity names and clout to, bilk rich people, mostly rich white people, mostly rich white young people, out of their money, saying they were going to have this one-of-a-kind experience in a Caribbean island, and it's going to be luxury and music and fabulous food and luxe accommodations, and everyone is just going to be so jealous of you, and we want influencers, and we want all these people to come and take part in this festival. And basically all of it was bullshit. None of it actually happened. Instead of like the amazing catered cuisine, I believe they were having like cheese sandwiches on white bread, and the lush accommodations that were supposed to be giving you the island lap of luxury were like, hastily erected FEMA tents, and there were 2 documentaries about this bullshit. And we saw both of them. And in both cases, we were like, wow. Like, the whole thing was a countdown to this thing not happening. And this dude, McFarlane, was like in denial to the very end. No, it's going to happen. No, it's going to happen. Meanwhile, he had this team of professionals who were trying to like get him to cancel and refund people's money. No, we're not doing that. It's going to happen. It was horrible. It was like Lord of the Flies. It was like damn near the Purge. It was not fun. But like I said, there were 2 documentaries about this. So it's not like people don't know that this was a scam. So folks are buying tickets for the second go round. So, while I don't wish ill upon other people, if something happens to y'all, I will laugh. That's what I'll say. And Gunnar Montana is back at the Full Circle table. How's it going, sir?
Hi, Charles. Thank you so much for having me again.
So you are always, creating the space, the world that your works inhabit from scratch, from conception to reality. Have you always been a crafty queen, as they say?
Yeah, I guess so. And somebody told me that the other day, and I was like, oh, I guess you're so right, because I do everything, right? So one day I'll be sewing, the next day I'll be painting a set, the next day I'll be building a cave, the next day I'm choreographing a dance, the next day I'm working on the music for that show, the next day I'm working on lighting design with the designers, all of these things. And it kind of just happened organically because I started off not being able to pay anybody for anything.
Right.
So I was, if I want to get this done, I got to do it myself. So I ended up learning all of this stuff to do. And I crave learning stuff like that. I get really excited about it, like new things, new skills. I just picked up the soldering iron for the first time a couple days ago.
Oh, shit.
That's not my thing. That's not one of the... I'm not going there, but I can sew. I can do all of that stuff, mostly because it's so expensive for labor, especially now, that if I do it myself, it's 5 times faster usually, and it's free.
Right. And you know what you want, and you know what you want the end result to look like.
Exactly. I know exactly. I have my hand on everything. Everything in this show I have touched.
Nice.
Yeah. So
take that as you will.
This episode is finally brought to you by a busy week and a quiet Sunday afternoon. This past Thursday, we we were panelists at the NLGJA convention, which is the LGBTQ Journalists Association.
Yes.
National Journalists Association. And they had their convention here in Philadelphia.
And we met some fierce people.
We did. We some folks that I, of course, have known about, but just got to actually meet and talk in real life, and folks who I did not know, but I do now.
Right.
So yeah, it was really fun because we were invited to spend the day. So we sat in on several panels, how to, learn some stuff and reinforced some stuff. And
Yeah.
interestingly, our panel was the bi panel.
Dialogue.
The biologue.
Yes.
Yes.
Dispelling the myths of bisexuality in media coverage.
Yeah. So it was good because we're that too.
Right.
So.
And we met fellow podcasters and some formidable journalists.
Yeah, and we got to talk about coverage, news coverage.
Yeah.
So, yay. Yay.
Yeah, we shared space with folks from ESPN and New York Times and Google and Vox and
All kinds of places. And yeah, and our new friend, Nico Lang,
Yes.
is the wonderful human who invited us to the panel. So,
yes. Hey, Nico.
hey, Nico, yeah. So, and I am certain we will see more of them.
Yes.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and a trip to the mall. I wondered why I saw a meme of Pee Wee Herman and Lauren Boebert together.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, with Pee Wee Herman saying at least I was in the right theater. And then I read this headline that says Lauren Boebert was caught fondling her date's genitals during a family-friendly musical.
Yep, that happened.
Yeah. She was caught seemingly engaged in sexual behavior in a public theater. Newly released security camera footage appears to show Lauren Boebert engaged in inappropriate behavior during a musical in a packed theater. Boebert and her companion were asked to leave the show due to their disruptive actions during a performance of Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, the musical. Yeah, she was basically giving him an over-the-pants handy.
Wow. In the video, her companion, identified by multiple news sources as 46-year-old Quinn Gallagher, a Democrat who owns a bar at which drag shows have occurred, is seen touching Boebert's chest during the show. Boebert, in response, appears to place her hand near his crotch and whispers something to him. The suggested age for Beetlejuice is 10 and over. This footage of the public mutual groping went viral, of course, leading to widespread outrage. Not a drag queen, Aaron Reed called out the right-wing hypocrisy demonstrated by Boebert's actions. Quote, Lauren Boebert has talked a lot about LGBTQ people appropriate behavior, and now she gets caught fondling her partner in a packed theater. Imagine for one moment a trans person was caught doing this. The news stories, the bills, the media circus, and still not a drag queen. Yep.
To be found, yep.
Yeah, but she's so concerned about the children. She was also taking flash photographs, dancing, and using a vape pen inside the theater.
Yep. I'm looking at the security footage, and he was going to town on her tatas. Like, that was, that's... What is it about Beetlejuice that got y'all all... Chaw.
I'm just going to say white trash gonna white trash.
Apparently. Because, ew.
It has always been thus. And did you think she was anything else but that?
No.
Okay.
But damn.
I mean, this woman has no sense. This woman has no actual decorum.
Yeah,
she has no class.
Some of this shit, like,
she has apparently no upbringing.
In theory, it's like, oh, okay, fine. But when you see it in practice, it's just like, who raised you? What raised you?
Have you not been reading the news about this human for the last 3 years?
Oh, I know she's a piece of shit, but,
well,
I make a point of not watching her do it.
Okay, well, there's nothing surprising about this other than, the idiot got caught on camera, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
I didn't say I was surprised. I'm just saying I never actually saw her being trash. I just knew that she was.
Well, this confirms all of that. But we're the problem. We are the problem. And kids were present, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at a picture. Like, while they're doing this, there's a little girl, like, standing above them, like, not even feet away, inches away. It's like, y'all.
Wow.
Y'all.
Part of what she said about all this was, there's no perfect blueprint for going through a public and difficult divorce, which over the past few months has made for a challenging personal time for me and my entire family. I've tried to handle it with strength and grace as best I can, but I simply fell short of my values on Sunday. For Christ's sake. No, honey, you got caught on camera. Good
My
Lord.
divorce is causing me such turmoil.
Yeah, because she and Marge are getting divorced. You know that, right? They're
Right.
both getting divorced.
Right.
These family values
Right.
folk are both in the middle of a divorce.
Right. So it caused you such turmoil that you had to go see Beetlejuice the musical and give an over the pants handy.
That might not
Near
have
kids.
even been her first handy that day. We don't know. We don't know what time this was. She could have gone to the gas station, the supermarket, McDonald's. I mean,
While that is not the point,
no,
that is a good point.
right. Everywhere this chick goes, everybody should be looking at their security footage. Mm-hmm. And the thing she seems to have focused on is, I don't remember vaping. You remember his dick in your hand? You remember your tit in his hand? Or that none of that is, no? Mm-mm.
Now you're asking questions.
At Beetlejuice.
Of all the most...
That's what was funny. See, now it's funny. Now I'm laughing at the Pee Wee Herman joke. Now I get it. At least I was in the right theater, because he was in a porn theater. It's just he got recognized because he was jerking off to porn.
Right. Which
Like,
is what it's made for.
Hello? Yeah, I think it was gay porn, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, and now it would be nothing. And if it was Republican, he would, get reelected. But, oh God, the world is upside down.
I have experienced many emotions while watching Beetlejuice. Not one of them was horny.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of stuff, including the fact that, the dude she's going out with, owns a bar where they have drag shows.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I don't know what to say other than, couldn't happen to an uglier human.
This is true.
An uglier, more basic, ridiculous human, and haha.
Right.
I mean, that's all I got. Because she was trying to say, I pleaded guilty to laughing and singing too loud. No,
sweetie.
That's not what you
That
did.
ain't it. That ain't it.
They initially had refused to leave. They finally left when the theater workers threatened to call the police.
It's embarrassing enough to be asked to leave a theater for any reason.
It is.
But Beetlejuice the musical. Come on now. Like, those words in a sentence sounds like a game of Mad Libs.
A quote-unquote well-placed source who knows Quinn Gallagher said, I always thought Quinn was a cool guy and a Democrat. His parents would be horrified because they are definitely blue. The bar has hosted LGBTQ plus events, such as a women's party for Aspen Gay Ski Week and a drag performance called A Winter Wonderland Burlesque and Drag Show. Mm-hmm. 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 I'm sorry, I'm just reading. I'm reading like this dumb bitch's tweets like, take your children to church, not drag bars, etc. Or bring them to family-friendly entertainment, but don't sit near me.
Right.
Because I can't help myself. When the urge hits.
I get a little handsy.
Apparently. Yeah. You would have thought the vaping would have come after. This episode is brought to you by Creating Community and 3 Sore Arms.
So, did you hear about this? Jan Wenner.
I don't know who that is.
He's the magazine founder of Rolling Stone.
Oh, okay. I heard a little bit about this, but I didn't know his name.
Well, he's being removed from
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
from the board of directors of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Why is that?
Well, because he did an interview with the New York Times in regards to this collection of interviews he did called The Masters, where he talked to people that he considered to be the pinnacle of influence on rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asked why were there so few, if any, black people, people of color, and women. He basically said that,
For the same reason, history doesn't show us well because it's usually written by ignorant white men.
he said, it's not that they're not creative geniuses. It's not that they're inarticulate, although go have a deep conversation with Grace Slick or Janis Joplin. Please be my guest. Joni Mitchell was not a philosopher of rock and roll. She didn't, in my mind, meet that test. Not by her work, not by other interviews she did. The people I interviewed were the kind of philosophers of rock. Of black artists, Stevie Wonder, genius, right? I suppose when you use a word as broad as masters, the fault is using that word. Maybe Marvin Gaye or Curtis Mayfield.
But he didn't actually include these people.
Correct. They just didn't articulate at that level. Look at what Pete Townsend was writing about, or Jagger, or any of them, he continued. They were deep things about a particular generation, a particular spirit, and a particular attitude about rock and roll. Not that the others weren't, but these were the ones that could really articulate it.
Oh my God, I wish this was the read right now when we were doing the read. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? Right. I hope this comes up on the read. I actually do.
That's what he's so basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they just keep talking because if they talk long enough, you will see the brilliance in their words and they just dig a deeper hole. Oh my God. We could have just buried a couple bodies on top of one another since I started listening. And I don't pay attention well.
And then he made this
Dear God.
weak-ass apology through his publisher.
Oh, fuck.
Saying, in my interview with the New York Times, I made comments that diminished the contributions, genius, and impact of black and women artists. I apologize wholeheartedly for those remarks. Yeah, right.
Bullshit.
Yeah, right.
You just said that they weren't smart enough, bright enough, or articulate enough to be included. Ooh.
He went on to say, The Masters is a collection of interviews I've done over the years that seem to me to best represent an idea of rock and roll's impact on my world.
White.
That they were not meant to represent the whole of music and its diverse and important originators, but to reflect the high points of my career and interviews I felt illustrated the breadth and experience in that career. They don't reflect my appreciation and admiration for myriad totemic, world-changing artists whose music and ideas I revere and will celebrate and promote as long as I live. I totally understand the inflammatory nature of badly chosen words and deeply apologize and accept the consequences. Well, good, because you're going to have to, because you basically just discounted 98% of the influential people of rock and roll, black people who created the fucking genre in the first goddamn place.
Right.
Like, let's start with, Elvis's biggest hit came directly from a black woman.
Yeah, dude.
Who didn't get her props until decades later. But, because, the Negroes and the ladies don't speak so good, we need a white man. And fuck you. Fuck you and your apology.
Yeah.
This wonderful individual describes themselves as a storyteller, which doesn't really do them justice. They are a writer, they are a photographer, a graphic, they are all kinds of things. Giuliani Tavares is in the house. Hi, Giuliani. How are you?
Hello. I'm so well. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for that very sweet introduction. Among the things he enjoys, right, is this beautiful, shimmering, cool sounding fabric that sometimes I say happens to be in the form of what we call a dress. Again, because we have to acknowledge that these are all socially constructed ideas.
Right.
And kids are not thinking about that stuff. We teach them which is we have to be aware of, like, what are we teaching them is the social context, right? They absorb it from us, but they're not born into the world being like, yes, these are the categories and things, right? Those are
Right.
all taught. So this kid is not there yet. It's just like loving it. And I love the way in the book it's described that it's like he's drawn to it because it's the color of his mom's hair and tigers
Yes.
and sunsets, and it sounds so nice. Like that is such a beautiful, like pleasurable sensory experience, right? And that's what
And it's such a
is
kid
happening.
thing.
Yes, it's like just being delighting. Like I just became a titi in the last year. I have a delightful nibbling who I'm obsessed with named Isla. And I love spending time with Isla because that's what's happening is that I'm being called to be as present and like miraculous eyed as this baby, right? Who is seeing everything for the first time, who is just like enjoying these things. So I love that energy. And that's Morris's energy. And then he gets, experiences bullying for it. But then the story is about how his imagination and his loving mother and his storytelling in his own mind really allow him the courage to continue showing up as himself, even if people are trying to tell him, control him, tell him to move differently. And so the play is that. It's pretty true to the book, but we just have more space and more life to work with, right? Because it's this 3-dimensional theatrical space. It's a little under an hour, so we have room. So what I say, like, oh, what might just be a line or a single illustration in the book, we get to step into that world and see
Right.
a whole scene play out and see what are these kids saying and how is Morris processing it. And that's definitely what guided me adapting it is always like, what is Morris experiencing and feeling and how can I capture that theatrically?
I love it. Yeah, it's like it boggles my mind to this day, especially having seen it from the inside as well. You have a kid who is just doing kid things and is like the embodiment of innocence. And we feel the need to just put our nonsense on them, like stop having fun and enjoying life. That's not what the world is. It's like, why? Why do we do that? Who is that really for?
Why do we? And I think if it would be a lot different of a world if we just stopped to ask ourselves why. I think a lot of people are not even stopping to ask themselves why they're perpetuating a certain thing that maybe happened to them, or that it's very powerful social systems at work. And I don't think enough people stop and ask why. Wait, why am I saying this to this kid? What is this impulse I have to just like all mess with their joy? Like, damn, like maybe if we were a little more joyful, we wouldn't do that to these kids.
Exactly. And the whole heteronormative structure, it's like it feels like it's just one long joy killing experience, if you ask me.
I would agree. I just walk around all day being like, listen, the colonizer system is trying to kill our spirits. It's a spirit killing machine. And it's that. It's like, that's what it's really trying to like, yeah, suck it all the beauty out of life into God knows what. I don't even know sometimes. I'm like, their logic doesn't even make sense to me at one point. And another, yes, like I feel like what you reminded me of too is when people do this thing to young children where they're like, well, the real world is this. Well, I'm going to, in my home, we got to do this because you got to get used to the real world. And I hate it. I hate it so much because I'm like, first of all, we constitute the real world. We create the real world. It is not something that we are powerless to influence.
Thank
like
you.
literally what we do is what creates it. So when people say that, it's such a like defeatist sort of like, and I get it. I have so much sympathy because I think it's people coming from having been beaten down by the world in whatever way. And then they kind of perpetuate that sort of bitterness or despair. And it's like, I understand. And it's our duty not to do that to these kids, like we have to do the work to keep our spirits as joyful and alive as possible. And then again, this is why I say that children are medicine, because they remind us that that's where we come from. That's how we start out and that we can be that again,
Right.
We're going to talk about making fabulous and provocative queer art. I read the quote that I will always enjoy that said, "Your work is like Georgia O'Keeffe, but on poppers." I love that. Christian Rogers, welcome to the Full Circle Table.
Hi, thanks for having me. I thought of, at least over time with using vintage porn, I've thought more and more about the responsibility I have to give a lot of these men kind of like an everlasting legacy or a place to be. For a lot of these men who posed for the photos. It's hard to imagine a world like today where they came out at 13 and their family graciously accepted them and they went on to have very prosperous lives. And so I feel that as I've worked with the material more, I feel more and more of an obligation to find them homes in the paintings. Like a painting is like a place for these men to live out their lives. It's like maybe these photos are the only examples of their lives that still existed today, because some of those men, when they came out, their families rejected them. They ceased to exist for them. And even when they die, a lot of the porn magazines, it's wild. A lot of the porn magazines that come into Circus of Books and the sex shop next door are just, I was told that a lot of them are donated from families who, somebody died and then they found a box of porn and they just get rid of it. And so Circus of Books or the sex shop next door is lucky to have at least somebody who even cares to drop it off, and I often say that because I know when I get the porn from my landlords, it literally comes from the bottom of the closet and then it appears on my porch. And there's something about taking these men who had this closeted or like this thrown away life, bringing them out of the closet and then putting them in a painting, which then kind of takes on like the form of a memorial or a shrine. And, if I was one of these men, I would only hope that some faggot in the future finds me and then puts me in a beautiful painting, and hope to God that one day it ends up in a museum so everybody can watch me forever.
This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and the absolute tedium of dealing with some of my cishet sistren.
So recently Wayne Brady came out as pansexual.
Right.
And he's been living his best life ever since.
Well,
apparently. Good. I'm sure that his life was pretty damn good before he said anything, but
yeah. Yeah. Most of those checks had cashed.
Right.
Yeah.
But in an interview with Queerty, he described how he finally has the freedom to finally be himself and how it can only positively affect his future relationships. I think that's the piece that was missing, he said, that I couldn't verbalize because I couldn't lock onto it. I always felt this much dishonest, and if I was being dishonest, then there's no way to truly give yourself 100%.
Yeah, I don't love that word, but I hear it. I went, oh, well, now you know. So, if you were to be involved with me, Wayne in totality. I'm not hiding anything now, so now I can approach you in a way that I never have.
He said being pansexual now means he's, quote, able to love whoever I want, no matter the vessel.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said, this is where I'm like, okay, girl. At the end of the day, for me, that just means that I am free to voice the option. Here's the thing. It may never happen. I'm not saying
again. I'm sorry. I'm reading shit into it. That's not there.
You said what I thought. It's okay. I'm not saying that I am going to be in a relationship with another man. I'm saying it is very possible for me to be attracted to the man because of the person. I can be attracted to this beautiful woman because of the person. But then again, that may be a non-binary person that might go, oh, I'm attracted to you. I'm attracted to this trans person. So, okay. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the one thing, one of the common responses in the comment section, let's call it, is always like, well, why did we have to know this?
Because representation still matters in this backward ass country.
That is the answer. That is always the answer.
Not the whole country.
Right. Just big chunks of it.
Big red chunks of it. Yeah. So, yeah, representation still matters. Popular figures coming out and saying, hey, that's me too.
Exactly.
matters. It
It does.
I believe that it doesn't, and in particular to young people coming up and seeing all of this.
Right.
And they will judge all of it.
Right.
The ugly parts are creating some big scars, but they will also, remember when people that they admired spoke up and said, I am also part of the community.
Right. And when it's different kinds of people coming out and coming forward, it further, chips away at the idea that it's a rare thing. It's an uncommon thing. We're everywhere.
I pictured him sucking a dick while he was having somebody type that out. But what do I know?
Because I feel like you picture him sucking a dick when he does most things.
No, not all things.
I
just
said
saying.
most.
Well, he said that. I'm not saying I'm going to be. I'm saying like that. Like that. It's just how
Don't quote me on that.
Just how my mind works. No offense to Wayne Brady. I'm just like. This episode is brought to you by a fresh jug of wine and being the change we so desperately need in this world. San Francisco's Folsom Street Fair celebrated its 39th anniversary in September. It is an anything goes sex positive celebration of leather culture, BDSM, and almost every fetish and kink in between. Yeah, don't take your kids. How about that?
It's
Yeah.
not.
It is not a child friendly event. It never has been.
I forget if it was Willem or Alaska that said, we need to recognize and leave space for the fact that not everything in gay culture needs to be family friendly, no matter how mainstream
Not
we get.
everything in culture needs to be family
That
friendly.
part.
Everything is not for children and never
Damn it.
has been.
Just because a lot of these people, their entire lives revolve around their fucking children doesn't mean that that's the same for the rest of the world.
Right. And even those people, sometimes you just got to scratch the surface.
Right.
I remember being asked this years ago by a white woman about what about Folsom Street? Because I think I was having the discussion of, queer culture is broad and everyone is not one thing. We're a whole bunch of things and we celebrate our lives in very different ways. And she's like, well, what about Folsom Street? And I said, what about mass shooters? If I can hold you accountable for them, then you can hold me accountable for Folsom Street. And hey, I'd like to go sometime. I want to see what all the fluff is about.
Right.
And maybe do some fluffing. Who knows? I once gave a hand job in what was that place called? Twist. That's right. The nightclub in Miami Beach. I mean, the stripper kept coming up to me and putting his junk in my. Yeah.
If you're going to put it in my hand.
If you're going to put it in my hand, yeah, I have magic hands. You know what? Not ashamed. Not ashamed. It was fun. We were there. We were on vacation. We were there with a bunch of friends, and it had kind of just happened, and I didn't have immediate access to a napkin. And one of our friends came up behind me and said, "What's going on, girl?" And I told him, and he's like, "You did not." And I said, "Hold out your hand." And I wiped it on him. And then he believed me. You were such a nasty bitch. And I'm like, you asked. You asked a question. I answered it.
The proof is in the pudding?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. I think the stripper got fired, which was not okay. But
not because of that.
I'm not sure. I think maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard that's not allowed. But started and he came back for me to finish. Like it was a two-part episode. I don't feel like that's my fault. I mean, it was fun. It was fine. It was cool. But anyway, hey, people get to celebrate humanity. We get one trip around the sun. Some folks are into stuff that you might not be into, and that's okay.
Right.
Truly, it's okay. Don't take your fucking children in strollers to Folsom Street Festival. Just don't do that.
This episode is brought to you by a hot cup of green tea with peppermint oil because I can't take being sick any longer. Elon Musk mocked, right there, I'm happy. Elon Musk mocked for calling cisgender a heterosexual slur. Yes, he did, y'all. Yes, he did. He took to his dumpster fire, social media network called X, formerly known as Twitter, currently known as that place that we don't go anymore, and tweeted or X'd or whatever you say anymore, that, quote, the word cis is a heterosexual slur. Shame on anyone who uses it. It's not a slur. It's never been a slur. And it has nothing to do with heterosexuality. It's like, if you don't know what words mean, child, never mind, don't get me started. Elon Musk is a fucking moron. And that's becoming more and more apparent lately. As we all know by now, cisgender refers to an individual whose gender identity corresponds with the sex the person was identified as having at birth. Period. The term cisgender, it's a Latin prefix, cis meaning on this side of, contrasting with trans, which stands for across from or on the other side of. Nothing to do with sexuality, heterosexual or otherwise. Internet shit stain who runs that thing, Schmibs of Micmac, I'm not going to actually say the name, reposted his tweet with the comment, facts. Fuck both of y'all. Y'all deserve whatever happens to you. Harvard law instructor Alejandra Caraballo rebutted both Musk and that horrible person in a post on X, mocking them with, she's too stupid to realize that cis doesn't refer to sexuality. Facts. Exactly. Get her. LGBTQ plus program director at Media Matters, Ari Drennan, highlighted the ignorance of the far-right extremists, saying they should just shut up and transition if being called cis makes them so uncomfortable. I mean.
This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and a weekend off.
So the Vatican rules that transgender Catholics and babies of same-sex couples can be baptized in the church.
Aw, thanks.
Right? Exactly.
Oh, thanks. Oh my God, guys. We get a sprinkle. Oh, it's what we've been waiting for. It's almost like social justice and, food. Yay. Because we've all been sitting around and waiting for this day. This very day. This very fucking day. This episode is brought to you by Surviving the Holidays, Surrounded by Loving Friends.
My biggest thing with Maurice Hines is that I gave the worst audition
of your life,
of my entire life, in front of that man,
in front of none other than
it was for he was reviving his show, his musical Hot Feet, which was a jazz version of the Red Shoes.
Okay. Yeah.
And Jay and I went, and it was and so many people we knew were there, child. Oh my God. Right. And so it was at Philadelphia Studios. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes, I'm going to audition. I'm going to meet Maurice Hines. Yes. And I don't know if I psyched myself out or if the stars were misaligned that day. But when I tell you
had a stroke,
I couldn't dance for shit that day.
Wow.
Like when I tell you, like the warm up was very much kickball change, pas de bourrée, pirouette. Like I couldn't, hoppity hop.
What do these words mean?
For real.
Right? You're just like, I
was like, this is a foot, right?
I went to an audition that included dance, but I wasn't a dancer, but kickball change, and I'm like, I don't remember what a kickball change is, and I just kind of watched the people, and I just couldn't get it fast enough to even be considered.
And now every time I see anything with a kickball change, I send it to you.
But you couldn't either, and you were a professional dancer.
It was so bad. Well, that was before he even got in the room. One of the Denko dancers gave the warm up, right?
Oh, so you fucked up the warm up.
I did, for real though.
Wow,
it was not cute. And then when it was time to audition,
Was Jay there with you?
Jay was to my left,
wondering what the hell was wrong with you, or she was just focused on herself?
She was focused on trying to get herself together. But I'm standing in the front row on the end in front of Maurice Hines. Like when I say I did this in front of Maurice Hines, I mean
literally
directly in front of Maurice Hines. And he gave comments that he, referenced generally, but I knew he was talking to me. It was like, you should be able to get your leg up and keep your leg up for this entire section. I am at least twice as old as everybody in this room, and look at my leg. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. Wow. It was not cute, but luckily,
do you relive that
frequently?
Yeah.
Frequently. Luckily, a year and a half to 2 years later, Jay got some extra money for her tap festival.
Right.
And so she had the Silver Bells from Harlem. She had Maurice Hines was the MC.
Love that.
That might have been the first year that I met Chloe Arnold.
Okay.
Like, she brought in folk.
Yep.
And so she did this big gala welcoming all the VIPs, and it was held at the Clef Club, the Clef Club for Jazz, wonderful place in Philadelphia. And I was the maitre d' for the event.
Oh.
So I was dressed up all sharp. I had my black suit with my crisp red shirt, and I was feeling myself and greeting everyone and making sure everyone was okay. And Maurice Hines arrived, and I was like, "Good evening, Mr. Hines. My name is Charles. Anything you need?" Da, 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 da. And he was like, "Good to meet you, Charles." And I was
maybe he
like,
blocked it out.
I would have. That's what I was like. Either he blocked it out,
right,
or he was being really, really polite and acting like he didn't know who I was.
Okay, well, either way, so he was either gracious, or you didn't leave the imprint on him that you think you did. I only remember faces of people who can dance.
Fair. He could have said that to my face, and I'd be like, I have no reason to say anything else other than I'm sorry.
I agree with you here.
Right? Took a shit at your feet that day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a memory for you.
So yeah, that is my personal experience with Maurice Hines. Embarrassment and redemption. The fabulous Dean FM is in the building. Hi, Dean.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
What is the lane that you see yourself?
I see myself in advocacy. In the beginning, I mostly was into the music. I was like, I only want to push my music and stuff. But then it's like, you can't resist the queer, people that you're gonna attract. And I couldn't, I can't just not say anything when I see all these things happening in the world. And I see myself being more, of an advocate now for my music to be more so of a base, or as a, just as a support. And I have a Facebook group that I it's Queer Casual, and that's where it's a safe space. I want to make safe spaces and stuff like that, because I know it's hard to express mental health without a fear of whatever you fear with that, and publicly. So yeah, that's why I see myself.
This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and the last day of our Christmas tree. The bill creates a presumption, this is not America, that a statement by an anonymous source is presumptively false for purposes of a defamation action. What? Essentially, this means that any anonymous accusation or of discrimination reported on by a journalist would be considered grounds for a defamation lawsuit. It's the second attempt by Florida Republicans at this type of legislation. It's pretty much identical to another bill introduced last year. That earlier bill died in the Judiciary Committee. I'm sure it did. More attempts to chill free speech in the, quote, free state of Florida.
I thought, wait, hold on. Defamation.
This is crazy. It is unlikely to survive legal challenges. No shit. as its provisions represent clear violations of free speech and anti-discrimination laws. I mean, it is bullshit on its face, but the unmitigated gall of these people is just, it has no bounds, no limits whatsoever. Oh my God. I'm done. I'm done talking about this. I've had enough.
I swear I thought that in order to...
It was me dropping my phone. What?
In order to fight a defamation accusation, you have to prove that it's not something that you would do or say. Like, it has to be, like, out of your character.
Charles, stop trying to make sense. Stop it.
I was
Stop it.
trying to make sense out of
No, they want to call you the N-word, and then when you say that makes them a racist, they want your ass in jail for saying it. Get it? That's what they just said. Because you, by saying that they are racist, are defaming them. And so they're trying to manipulate the language so that your ass winds up in jail.
So everyone within the sound of my voice, chances are you're probably listening to this with via a cell phone or a mobile device. Mm-hmm. Each of those devices has voice notes.
Yeah.
Be it Android or Apple.
Yep.
Just have it on all the time. When you're dealing with white people, just do that. If you're around straight people, cis people,
at
white
least
people,
in Florida,
have it on all the motherfucking time. There.
Wow. Yeah, but
little tip from me to you.
But if black is white and night is day, and we turn everything upside down, I'm sure that'll be illegal too. You can't prove I'm a racist with my words, son. that ain't Merkin. How dare you use my own words against me? That's defamation, I tell you. At least in the grand state of Florida.
Don't tell me I said what I said by showing me that I said what I said with what I said.
Yep.
When I said it. Mm-hmm. God damn it, I hate everyone. Barbara Earl Thomas and Emily Zimmerman are in the house. Good afternoon, you guys.
Hola.
Good afternoon.
So glad to be here. I think what I do is I enter the world and I look around, and it's the things that I see and the small stories underneath the big headline that interests me, you know, and how we live it daily, and how each of those small things enters into our day and changes us, you know, changes how we move through our day, changes, you know, how we interact with other people. And yeah, if it's about, I don't think I've ever said this is about racism, but I will say my relationship with you can be changed by how you treat me, because you have made an assumption before you have actually made the connection. And that is what I think happens so often, you know, as we come in. And that's the thing about the transformation room. I want you to walk in and you have a chance to change someone and touch someone if you can get them off guard just a little bit, so that you can make the connection before they've solidified their story about the experience they think they're going to have, you know, they think they're going to have, you know, I'm not interested in coming predefined, because to me, that's just a little bit of death. You know, if somebody thinks they can sum you up in one sentence, they can dismiss you. You know, oh, Barbara Thomas Black, blah, 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 blah. That's her. And they never have to think about it again. And that is why people are always striving to. They want to get it done and move on. Well, as long as I'm on the planet, you don't get to do that. You know, I mean, you don't get to do that. I don't get to do that with you.
Introducing Barbara's work to Philadelphia is a great gift, because so many of the themes in the exhibition resonate with things that this town already understands, i.e., like how to create a tightly knit, interwoven, creative fabric where communities don't just, go to the museums and the galleries, and a different community goes to music events, but everyone kind of goes to everything. And there's a real sense of a broad definition of what it means to be involved in the arts, and for multimedia collaborations across genres. People that have a lot of the artists have a fluid sense of identification in terms of like, I work in visual arts, but I also DJ on the side and things like that. So that is one of the things I have really cherished about the Philadelphia art scene since I grew up in Philadelphia, and have loved this town for its commitment to the arts, not only from like the greatest museums on the planet down to DIY spaces, and its unfailing, ever vibrant commitment to keep the arts going.
This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and a break in my schedule. Shady is laying all over.
Shady's feeling himself now that he's in a contest.
The dining room table. Yes, you put him in a contest.
Yeah, I entered our cat Shady in the America's Favorite Pet contest.
If they know you, there's no chance of winning. Sorry. You're pretty, but you're such a jackass.
Yeah. But yeah, if he wins, he gets money and a photo shoot. All this stuff.
He is photogenic. I'll give him that.
Yes.
He is an entirely black cat, which we had black cats when I was little, but they always had like a patch of white somewhere, little one. He has none. He's blackety black.
He's very pretty.
He is pretty. And he's huge. And he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, kind of an asshole.
The pretty ones usually are.
Conrad's work explores the art of our public spaces and the artists who create it. Conrad Benner, welcome to the Full Circle Table and Kiki.
Oh, that was so beautifully read. I'm gonna save that recording. That's my bio. I encourage everyone again. Like, when I think, God, we could talk for 5 hours. When I think about things like toxic masculinity, and I think about like, again, how divisive we are, blah, 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 I think about, okay, what are most people's lives, right? We have pretty hard lives in the fact that many people are working 1-2 jobs. They're working, it used to be 9 to 5, now it's 8 to 6. And people are working through lunch breaks. We've, economically never been more productive than ever, but our wages haven't gone up in decades. The prices of things are going up. So I get it. People feel strained. And I think we go to a lot of vices, whether that be TV or isolating ourselves because it feels like, okay, I've just worked my butt off. I need to be alone for a day or two, But I think if you push yourself outside of your comfort zone and you do engage in community, and again, I think art is a great place to start. Not everyone's going to be into sports. There's not a lot of, as I mentioned with public space, there aren't a lot of places to go necessarily, right? Like to go try to engage with community, like maybe a public library, rec centers are more for kids. But if you're a grown-up, like, what are you going to do? Go to the arts. There are so many great art galleries that have free programming, that will have artist talks, that'll have openings, museums that have free days. And at these places, you will find people just like you who are curious about the world. That's all art is. Art just invites you to be curious and to feel things. Go show up in these places. Go alone. Go with your friends. Go with family. Go with whoever. And yeah, just be in community, because I think that that's where the healing starts. That's where you get rebooted to get back into the activism. It's all good.
Yeah.
Art solves every problem.
Full Circle is a Never Scared Productions podcast, hosted by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal, produced and edited by Never Scared, executive produced by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal. Our theme and music is by the Jingleberries. All names, pictures, music, audio, and video clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holders.